Hi, it's Chantal here again. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll be looking at how to reset and bounce back from a bad day. Yes, we've all had bad days, or you may even be having one right now. And some bad days begin with you getting a bad report about that business, about your health, about your child, about that dream project. And sometimes just a call from a toxic person can kickstart a bad day. Other bad days begin with a late start to your morning, maybe because you forgot to set your alarm the night before. But to be honest with you, there are some bad days that have nothing to do with a specific thing that went wrong. You just wake up in the morning feeling stuck, feeling like there's a cloud over your head. You just feel disconnected with your written plan for the day. That was the kind of bad day I experienced week before last. I just watched my 24 hours count down to zero right before my eyes. I remember my husband asking me, "How was your day?" And I was like, I don't even remember having a day. Nothing went as planned, yet I was so tired. So I went to bed that day very late, tired, disappointed. And because I went to bed that way, I equally woke up late, tired, and I already saw some more disappointments waiting to happen. Now I was like, 2 days gone? Nope, I'm not about to lose a whole week. And so I took some simple yet very effective measures that turned things around for me big time. The rest of that week and all of last week turned out to be very productive weeks for me. And I'm excited to share those tips and tricks with you here today. If you're finding these tips helpful, please do not forget to give me a thumbs up to let me know. And if this is your first time here, please do consider subscribing for more videos on finding your purpose, pursuing your dream with more clarity so that you can bloom and flourish in your everyday life. The first is to stop and take a deep breath. This may sound trivial, but it's very important because our emotions have a way of affecting us physically. Your heart rate may increase, your blood pressure may rise, your muscles could feel so tense when you're stressed and overwhelmed. But when you stop and you take those slow, deep breaths, it helps you to relax. And when you are relaxed, you can better handle the situation at hand. I started taking this breathing exercise more seriously a few years ago when I just had my second child, and it's one of those busy days. I'm rushing to go pick up my daughter from school, and this boy is crying his head off behind the car, and I felt like I was driving like this and not breathing, and I just pulled over, sat there, just took some deep breaths. Before I knew it, I noticed that this boy was beginning to calm down. I look in the mirror and I noticed he was almost falling asleep. You know, at times we do not realize that when we're functioning from a very overwhelmed and tense place, we tend to transmit that tension around us. And when we're operating from a very calm place, we equally make the people around us feel calm. Before I knew it, he was asleep. I got back on the road and I went and picked up my daughter. So stopping in that moment and taking a deep breath is very important. It may not change the situation at hand, but at least it will get you more relaxed so you can think clearly on what is the next step to take. Number two is to change the present activity or environment. When we move to a new environment, switch to a new activity, our brain turns to wake up and then we get excited and energized again. If I'm in the middle of an activity that is getting me overwhelmed, it's just not going anywhere, I've learned not to just sit there and keep insisting, keep whining and then waste the rest of my day. What I do now is that I pull out my schedule, I quickly look through it and see what is another task that I can do at this moment. When I move environment, move scenery, move to a new activity, my brain wakes up, I get excited and I'm able to carry out that task. And when I finish it, I get even more excited because I have completed a task. And when I revisit what was troubling me before, chances are I'm going to better handle it. When my kids were a lot younger, getting them ready in the morning sometimes used to be overwhelming because either one person is crying over here, another person is not wanting to put this on over there. And if I felt like it was getting overwhelming, I'm like, okay, let's stop, let's go have breakfast first. When we go have breakfast, while we're having breakfast, it helps me to calm down. It helps to distract them from whatever was bothering them. And when we come back to get ready, it goes a lot faster and smoother. Now we have not lost that much time because all we have done is switch two activities that were going to take place that morning. So please, just because you're having a bad day over something that happened over here, don't just sign out of your whole day completely. Try to look around and figure out what else can I do to still give this day a meaning. But if you're really having a bad day and you're not in that frame of mind to switch to another activity, then go ahead and take a break altogether. Do what you love to do to relax. One of them for me is listening to music. I just go to my favorite playlist and I just listen to some good music. In fact, a couple of days ago, was it last week, I was doing my dishes, and then an old song just popped into my spirit, and before I knew it, I was going 5, 10, 15 minutes just singing and dancing and looking around and hoping that there are no hidden cameras in my house. But now I wish there were hidden cameras, then I would have had some videos to show you my crazy dance. I just went with it and I enjoyed myself, and I felt so relaxed and light after that, and I was ready to go to my next activity. I'm equally someone who loves home. When I go out, I can't wait to get back home. But when you're having a bad day, you have to push yourself to get out there, get some fresh air, get some sunlight. And I'm not saying that you should go on a trip. You can just go to your backyard, take a little walk in your neighborhood. For me, sometimes I just walk to the mailbox, get some mails, come back, and that little break goes a long way. I know there's that tendency to sulk, cover yourself with a big blanket, and give your thoughts the permission to remind you of all the bad things that have ever happened to you in life, or just sit there all day, watch TV, scroll through social media, compare yourself with others. This will do you more harm than good. Maybe what you want to do in this moment is pick up that phone and call a real friend. Somebody that you will just talk something off topic and laugh, or even somebody that you can share that situation with, but they are going to be optimistic about it. This is not the time to call Debbie Downers, toxic people. There are people that their calls are never about good news. It's always about, oh my God, do you know what happened? Oh my goodness, there's fire on the mountain. Oh my God, the sky is falling. When you're done talking with people like that, they just sap the life out of you. You were in a good mood, suddenly you're in a bad mood, and if it was a bad day, you are even in a worse mood, and the little hope that you had left is gone. So this is not the time to talk with people like that. You want to rather pick and talk to a real friend, or just listen to something that is inspiring and motivating. Those are some of the things you can do when you take a break. This next tip that I'm going to share with you on how to bounce back from a bad day, I consider this one of the most important tips. And this is to look forward and not backward. When our reality does not match our expectations, or when we feel like we have fallen short of our own expectations, the tendency is to switch on our worry mode, angry mode, frustration mode, and constantly find ourselves in that place of wishing that things were different. I found myself there. But constantly worrying and wishing that things were different will only keep us in the past and prevent us from moving forward. But when we accept that what has happened, it becomes a lot easier to keep it behind us and look at the present. And when we start looking at the present, our perspective begins to change. We begin to look at things differently. We begin to see that things could have been a lot worse. And this helps to change that anger, that bitterness, that worry into an attitude of gratitude. And we need this attitude to have a productive day. We need it for a successful and peaceful life. But let's say you look at the present and you still feel like this is the worst you could get. In fact, this is rock bottom. Then it's time for you to go past the present and begin to look at the future. It's time for you to keep your hope alive. Tell yourself, yes, this is rock bottom, but I know I can climb out of it. Yes, this door is completely closed, but I know that somewhere else there's another open door or an open window. Right now I feel chained, but I can break these chains. Right now I feel like I'm in front of a Red Sea, but I know I have the staff in my hand to part this Red Sea. You have to keep your hope alive. Now, there are 4 things that I do to keep my hope alive. There are 4 things that I do to ensure that I do not give up. And the first thing is that I tell myself that setbacks, disappointments, betrayals, loss are all part of life. Times and seasons will come. The next thing is that I tell myself what will be the consequences if you give up. What is at stake if you give up? When I look at what is at stake, if I suddenly just throw in the towel and give up because I had a bad day, bad week, bad month, bad year, I tend to push myself not to give up. The third thing is that I look at the reward that lies ahead if I do not give up. That is why having a vision is very important. Visualizing the end from the beginning helps you to keep going. Seeing the things that be not as though they were, having the evidence of things that I'm hoping for on my paper. So those things, when I look at the reward that lies ahead, it keeps me going. The fourth and the final thing that really keeps me going and I don't give up is staying in close fellowship with God through prayers and meditation. One of those weeks I just submitted my own will and my plan and my agenda into His. I took time to just pray and meditate, and my hope came back alive. And this close fellowship with God is not just about the hope. Having close fellowship with God, He gives you guidance and direction. He's able to say, hey Chantal, you're worrying about too many things. This is what really matters to me. This is really my heartbeat for you. When you're in constant fellowship with God, you stay in His will for your life, and that's where you'll find true peace and contentment. The last but one is to reach out and brighten someone else's dark day. We have the tendency to mess up every other person's day when we're having a bad day, right? We transfer that aggression to others, or we forget that we can actually reach out and wipe off somebody else's tears even while ours is still flowing. One of the days I came back from a long 12-hour shift, I was so tired. The last thing I wanted to do was attend to anybody. And as I laid in bed just winding down and getting ready to sleep, suddenly I remembered that I had to reach out to somebody who had asked me for something. And I was like, do I really have to do this today? But then I just felt this unrest within me, and I pulled myself out of bed. I did what I had to do, and suddenly it felt like this heavy load left me. I went to bed in a very good, peaceful mood. I woke up the next day even feeling much better. So if you're having a bad day, reach out and bless somebody else. It could be through words of encouragement, your time, your money, your service, your support towards something that they are doing, or just a surprise call. It's going to go a long way to brighten your own dark day. And finally, make an effort to end that day well. You do not want to roll over a bad day into another. You want to bounce back out of it. And something that you can do is to find an alone time at the end of the day to just do something that you love, something that you enjoy doing. It could be eating something nice, watching a movie, it could be taking a warm bath. Somebody may like to paint or read. You're just doing something that makes you happy, something that you enjoy doing. Or you may want to have some meaningful time that evening with your loved ones. You want to have some meaningful conversations with your spouse, or have some playtime with your children, and it helps you to wind down. That is very important to do. Something else that I used to do years back, I stopped at some point and I have started doing again, is journaling. Just sit down and write down your thoughts for that day. What are some of the lessons that you have learned from that bad day? Or what are even some of the good and amazing things that still happen even in the midst of that bad day, that bad week, that bad situation? Writing these things down just turns that bad day, into or it ends it on a positive note. Remember, how you end one day will determine how you start another. We're not trying to roll over a bad day to the next here. What we're trying to do is to reset and bounce back from a bad day. I hope you found this helpful. Please let me know in the comment section below which of these tips do you think you can start to apply today. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all, and until next time, put your best foot forward and continue to bloom and flourish in your everyday life.